Good evening and a very warm welcome to the Hot Seat. In the Hot Seat tonight is the man who's credited with bringing one of the world's most enduring brand names to Sri Lanka, and he did it all those years ago, before most people thought of branded goods, perhaps even. And joining us in the Hot Seat this evening is the entrepreneur, businessman, amongst many other things, Mr. Cornel Pereira. Good evening, Mr. Pereira, and welcome to the Hot Seat. Mr. Pereira, you've been on our programs before. You've spoken about that wonderful brand that you brought into Sri Lanka, the Hilton, and we now find that there's a sort of document, which is a letter, a long letter, that's circulating, doing its rounds on the internet. So I wonder, now that we've actually found you, is this letter, can you confirm its authenticity?
Yes, I can.
Right. It's a letter dated the 30th of June 2016, written on Cornell & Co. Private Limited letterhead. So, Mr. Pereira, now that the government has taken over the hotel and its assets and so on.
It's not now, in 2011, sir.
Yes,
not
that's
now.
right. So, but now that it is in the hands of the government, have you been paid? Have you been settled?
No.
So what's going on, and why is that? The market is talking about a reluctance on your part to reach a settlement, and therefore you are holding matters up in the sense that there are apparently buyers waiting for the Hilton.
Yes, there are buyers waiting.
Yes. So why are you holding it up then?
I'm not holding it up. I'm waiting for the government to make a firm decision. And for that reason, on the Hilton, to establish my ownership, my entitlement, and all the commitments I have made for getting this hotel for the country, for the then government, and for everybody else. May I just, Mr. Faras?
Yes.
Start off by saying in 84 February is when the share issue came on.
Yeah.
After lots of difficulty.
How much? What was the share issue? How many shares did you have?
I had 25 million shares. The Japanese
percentage terms you had?
Percentage was 51% then.
Right.
But something very interesting, which the public must know, is the government stayed nil, not a single share.
Right. Okay.
So I structured this with the support from President Jayawardena. Why? Because the
Did he have a stake in it?
No, nobody had a stake.
All right. I just thought I'd clear the decks.
Yeah, okay. May I read this out to you, please?
Yes,
this is
go
very
ahead.
important.
Go ahead, go ahead.
My shares, Cornell's shares, instantly transferred to the Secretary Treasury to hold in trust, which means the government, thus the government was fully secured. I had to transfer 51% instantaneously. The moment one share certificate, Cornell and Company, simultaneous another share certificate, Secretary Treasury. So, government had no risk whatsoever.
Okay.
Then, Mitsui, there was a state guarantee that had to be issued for the loan, yen loan. Mitsui Taisei, the Japanese partners, received the state guarantee for the yen loan plus interest.
Right.
And therefore, Mitsui Taisei were fully secured.
Yeah.
No risks whatsoever.
Right.
Due to 83 July, the burden of the land lease was also thrust on me. And I paid 20% down payment of US dollars 1.2 million in August 1983. And I have stated here, thus Cornell alone had to take all the risks. The government didn't, the Japanese didn't, there was nobody else who took any risks.
So what you're saying is that you are the owner until the point that the government took it over.
Yes.
And so why haven't they paid you?
That was the government you fought against, didn't you? The regime, the previous regime?
Well, the majority of people in this country did, and I suppose you must have done so as well. But my question is, why is it still hanging in the air?
That you have to ask the government.
Oh,
Not
God,
me.
is it?
Yes. 2 years since the regime change took place, then the general elections came in, and I knew very well that the government had to stabilize itself, and the UNP party for which I worked, only 42 seats. And the change was sudden, so drastic, and the settling down was going to take time. In the meantime, I was asked to keep quiet, not to go to people like you, don't go to the media.
As in the media?
Yeah, in the media.
Who are these people who asked you not to do that?
No.
They're singularly misinformed. The media is the best place to discuss these matters.
Yeah, but there was enough stuff then for the media to handle, and this was not a priority either for this government or the media now here.
All right, so but the point is, I'd like to ask you, the story doing the market, in the rounds, doing rounds in the marketplace is that Conor Pereira is claiming to own the Hilton, and yet he doesn't have that amount of money in a bank account. Is that true?
Of course not. The hotel is worth over $200 million.
What percentage of shares do you think you have?
I had first put in 51%, which became 56 point something, and with the Japanese shareholding of 27, I was entitled to 83%. I still am.
We'll take a short break and discuss your shareholding when we come right back.
Right.
Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Hello and welcome back to the Hot Seat, where in the Hot Seat is businessman Conor Pereira. Mr. Hilton, indeed. Are you Mr. Hilton?
I wish I was Mr. Hilton.
You're Mr. Pereira.
I would have been Mr. Hilton of the one and only stolen Hilton.
Is that that's what you're saying? You're
yes,
calling
it was stolen by the state.
It's very big claim to make.
No, but that's the truth, the reality. It was taken on the basis, it was expropriated. We, Cornell and HDL, the owning company, of which we are the owners, majority.
Who's we?
We is HDL, Cornell and Company,
right?
Okay. Biggest shareholder and controlling, had settled in full the yen loan. It was not the Treasury that settled the loan. The Treasury, as guarantor obligo, had to pay.
So are you saying, let me get this right, are you saying that the HDL, the owning company of the Colombo Hilton, that they paid out of their monies? HDL paid out of the monies that they had?
I'll repeat it for you, please, because there is a big misunderstanding, deliberately spread story, rumor, that the state paid. State did not pay a single cent.
How did HDL pay?
Let me explain. They were the guarantor. If I went to HNB or any other bank, the shortfall, we paid out of the earnings, the operational profits. Every year, it was for 12 years, and each year there was a shortfall. At the end of this, the shortfall amounted to approximately $30 million US. And now, who paid the money? HDL, of which I was the majority owner. And who received the money? The Japanese received the money from HDL, not from the Treasury, not from anybody else. The shortfall, the Treasury was obliged to lend to HDL.
Right.
And at the time of taking over, there was $30 million approximately owed by the owning company HDL, which is my company,
Yeah.
to the treasury. That was
Right.
all. And why did this happen? We have a share transfer agreement, sacrosanct, holy, signed by the state of Sri Lanka government, Japanese, and my company, Cornell and Company. The guarantees and the documents were the same scale and standard as any you would see then or now internationally. We had Japanese lawyers, Irish lawyers all around when we signed these documents. And it very clearly said the moment the yen loan is fully paid,
Then your lien will be
the
reduced.
guarantee ceases to be. You understand that?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Cornell's shares shall revert and the government directors cease. If otherwise, why did they have to use this euphemism of expropriation? Because our lawyers warned the government, the treasury, about the triggering off of the share transfer agreement.
Mr. Pereira, can you tell me, if what you're saying is right, how did the Treasury get hold of your shares and then proceed to say that it is theirs? You need to make it
Yeah, it's
short and sharp, really.
because, as I said,
Yeah.
the share transfer agreement triggered off, and the government had to hand the hotel back to me, my shares back to me, and the government directors to exit. This was certainly not the plan of the government. Government used this euphemism, expropriation, to take over the hotel on the basis, also on a false basis, saying underperformance.
Yes.
We had paid the whole loan.
But it was
But the
underperforming, wasn't it right?
No.
Isn't it right, Mr. Pereira, to say that your company
Yes.
did not pay the lease rentals to the UDA?
No. That's completely different. The lease is not the obligation of HDL, although it should have been. It became the obligation, as I've said here,
Of
I had
Cornell
to
and
take
Co.
over, yes, and for which the down payment of,
Yes, but everyone acknowledges that, but what they don't appear to acknowledge is that you didn't pay the rental as agreed to the UDA.
no, may I explain to you, this is
Yeah.
what people like to hear.
Okay.
This is what people like to hear.
But they'd like to hear the truth.
Yeah, 1.2 million in August 83, way before the hotel opened or started, the share issue I had paid. And then there was a grace period of 3 years. And we were in difficulty at that time. However, when we were ready to pay, the UDA and the government, in the 90s, when the government had changed, they never wanted to accept any payment, anything on the lease agreement. And the lease payment
Yeah.
very clearly says 3 years of grace period and 35 years, so 32 more years. It ends only in 21 or 22, 2021. So I have time to pay this, even on behalf of the company. If I had the hotel in 2011 back to me, it's only one-shot payment. It was 85 million, less than $1 million.
One-shot payment, but why are you not considered the one-shot owner? Who's blocking you from your legitimate claim to being the owner of the Colombo Hilton?
I think there's people behind certain ministries making out that I was not the owner,
Right.
whereas that's the reason I sent this whole thing along with the evidence that you have on the all
Yes.
the evidence,
Yeah.
everything right from the beginning, share certificates, copies of every other document is perfectly on date line basis submitted to the government, both in English and Sinhala.
But Mr. Pereira, can you tell me who were the principal shareholders? How many
No,
major
I had 51%.
Okay.
That I had to transfer to the government because the arrangement said Cornell shall transfer 51%. Actually,
Yeah, but before you tell me what you did with them, can you explain who the shareholders were? There was you through
Mitsui Taisei.
Cornell and Co. was
Yeah.
51%.
Yes,
Mitsui Taisei
27%.
27%.
Yes. And then the public had small amount. And the
Okay.
treasury not a single share.
Okay. So you mean to say the rest of it, 51% with you,
Yeah.
27% with
Mitsui
Mitsui,
Taisei, public
the public.
7.5%.
We'll take a short break. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Welcome back to the Hot Seat. And in the Hot Seat today is Mr. Cornell Pereira, sometimes known as Mr. Hilton. So some of these people have been paid. Have the Japanese been paid?
No, Japanese are all sorted out.
So they've been paid.
They've been paid. They've got the full yen loan. The yen loan was fully paid
Right.
by HDL, not the state.
Yes.
I repeat, the government did
However,
not pay.
what's the shortfall
Of
between what HDL paid and what the government received?
the government, every year the shortfall they contributed that accumulated to approximately 30 million US dollars.
Over what period? Over
12 years.
right. And have you paid that?
How can I pay that? I would have been very happy to pay. If I got the hotel back, it's worth 200-300 million now, and we would never have used it as a dun seller from 2011.
Right. This is obviously you're alluding to the misuse or so-called misuse of the public property by people who rent it or who come there. Is that what you mean?
No, no. Once the state owned it, became like any other state enterprise. I don't know. I was not there. I haven't stepped in from the day 2011 November. Overnight, it was taken over. My wife and I were on the board, and it was very hard to believe that we have nothing.
As we come to the end of this half an hour,
Yes.
can I ask you, Mr. Pereira,
Yeah.
this letter that has appeared and is doing its rounds on the internet, and which you say is authentic, 41 pages. Will it be a happy ending?
I am spiritual in my own way. I feel justice will be done soon. And I believe and I know that the President, His Excellency, is a good human being. He's a fair person even before the elections as the common candidate and as the leader of the opposition. Assurances were given to the media in public. I have all those cuttings which I attached as evidence and sent over.
Will it be a happy ending?
It will be. It has to be. It must be.
What's the bottom line? How much are you going to settle for?
Now that's
Confidential.
flexible.
Oh, it's flexible.
It's flexible. I have said I should be owning it. 5 years since they took over, nothing was paid. What about the damages, the heartburns?
Is your compensation likely to be less or more than the monies that this country, some say, has been lost by this country in the, by now, infamous bond scandal?
Oh, that's huge. Don't compare that to this. This is 200-300 million. I don't know the one thing, what it was, but I don't know whether those figures can be.
Okay. Well,
I don't think it's a fair question to ask.
okay. We'll leave it there because we did try to ask you. Thank you, Cornell Pereira, for being in the hot seat, and thank you for explaining these matters.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Please come back and tell us when you've got the money. Good luck.
Then
Thank you.
I can go to the media, yes.
Thank you very much for watching The Hot Seat. We'll be back here, same time, same place next week. Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. straight after the news, the primetime news at 9 o'clock. Take care. Good night.